Joe, happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
It's an honor.
Before we get started, I think we should start with some prayer. I think that makes the most sense. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we thank you so much for bringing us here on this beautiful day, get an opportunity to spend some time in friendship, get an opportunity to talk about furthering the faith, growing deeper in our Catholic faith, understanding it more, finding fullness in you through, of course, your Blessed Mother, our Blessed Mother Mary. And I thank you so much for bringing me here with my friend Joe. And I pray that we have a very fruitful conversation, a great conversation. And I pray that through this conversation, it also maybe captures the attention of some other people and helps them grow deeper in their faith as well. We thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you so much for being here with us. And we do all things through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Amen. So, before we get into it, I appreciate the present. Very, very nice of you. What is it called again? A hibiscus tree?
Yeah.
All right. So when I came to your house, I remember that was the one of the plants that absolutely captured my eye. You have a lot of plants, but Joe's got an absolutely beautiful house. Truly, you have a beautiful house. And I remember I came back and I was telling my wife Christina about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like the way that you styled your home. She was like, I need Joe to do the interior decorating on our house. But that was one thing, and you coming with that plant is very, very awesome. I'm very appreciative of it. So I had to make sure that, of course, I got you something for your home as well. Now, I don't know why. I always buy tissue paper in bulk, but for some reason we ran out. So this is the bag, and there's no tissue paper. So once you open it, it'll basically be what you'll see what it is. But please, by all means.
Wow.
My boy.
Thank you, brother.
Of course,
this is incredible.
So I have that in my office.
Yeah.
And, you have a lot of that, like, black and white kind of touch in the basement, but then also I think you could throw it in multiple rooms just in your house in general. So I felt like it might be something that was cool. I was thinking of getting you some Mary stuff as well, but I realized that you have the crucifix in there, and I think that just, like, goes really great with your theme also. So
we're going to have to pick a spot to place it.
100%. Next time I come.
You got to feel it out.
Yeah.
Should I keep it on the table? Or
keep it on the table, wherever you want to put it. Yeah, sure. Throw it right there. It's beautiful. Well, my
appreciate it.
100%, dude. Listen, I'm excited to have you here. I thank you so much for being here. July 2025, you came to a Rosary Real Estate event.
Yeah.
And you told me that you made your mother cry. Something no man should ever do, but you made your mom cry that day. Why was she crying?
Happy tears. She was crying because of the event. I guess the premise behind the event, right? And I explained it to her, and it was something I was excited to tell her, because I think she's always been an important part of my life and like the faith side of, my upbringing, and still to this day. So when I told her I was coming, I told her the whole, two things: financial freedom, but also, very faith-based, and how we went through the rosary and everything. I think it was just an emotional time for her, in the sense of just seeing, like, it's what she always wanted me, to be doing. Like, not, I guess, straying away from the faith, but leaning into it and surrounding myself with others who do that. Yeah. So, it was very, it was powerful for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? To see that reaction, you're just like, wow, like, that's how important this was to you.
Yes.
And for myself, I think what you've created and was such a nice environment for, like, men and even women my age, you know what I mean, where I think a lot of, like, the religion itself has been passed down through generations and generations, primarily through the family, which absolutely it should do. Yeah. But, just like a lot of things in life, I think there's things that, like, your parents give you guidelines on, or your family does, but, like, having, a friend also have that same, thought process or belief just pushes you in that direction a little bit more. Like, I think for you, it just made it so normal for me, where it almost had me question myself, like, why haven't I leaned into this? Yeah, where did I go? And I don't think it was anything like being hard on myself about it in any sense, but really just like a wake-up call. Like, at what point did I stop not believing, because that was never lost, but like practicing, like going to church every Sunday, like praying every night. Like, when did that fall off?
Yeah.
And that started a lot of deep reflection. I was like, all right, well, from here I could just, like, gain some momentum. Let's start with baby steps. Like, I'm going to churches. I'm finding a church.
Yes.
Right. Finding the first church. And then, honestly, just being lucky in the sense of, like, going to that first mass and, like, loving the priest and loving the church and the people there. And I was it created an environment that I really was excited to go back the next week for. And I feel like, that's been almost a year at this point.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome.
It's crazy. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that. So you and I at that point had done one real estate deal together. We did that purchase on Wilson Street in April.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we went out to get drinks. Was that before or after the event? That was before the event, right? Because that was before I even got the Wilson deal with you, I think.
Yeah, with Jeremy?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was before. So that was the first time. Then we got the deal done. And then you pulled up to Rosary Real Estate. Be totally honest with me. Were you coming because you wanted my business more, or were you coming because you were actually excited to go at first?
Both. I think it was like, for me, like, obviously I was looking, I mean, in all transparency, like, let's look back on it. Like, I wasn't even originating last year.
That's true.
So it really wasn't
100%.
my business. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like coming after it. But I think, like, from the beginning, I felt like for how little we actually knew each other and interacted in the beginning, I felt like we were close so quickly. And I saw how passionate you were about it. And I gravitate towards people who are passionate to things, right? Like, it interests me. Like, even if it's not the same thing I'm interested in, it's like, well, let me go see him in his realm. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me go see him roll, like, in his setting, doing his thing. And, like, let me go support him in doing so. And I think there's obviously mutual alignment. Like, it wasn't something I wasn't interested in. I was.
Yep.
But I was like, hey, like, it would be nice to go be outside of, a family setting or outside of just a church setting and just be with a group of people talking about Catholicism and, like, religion and things like that. So it was definitely a little uncomfortable too for me. I've never done that. And in my head, I'm like, well, I hope, they're not judging me for not, being like an active practice. And you were always open arms, with me for that. You've never made me feel, and I think that's the important part, right? Because I tell you about sometimes, like at like my parents' parish, like sometimes like the priest is hilarious. Like, we've loved him like my whole life, but he's getting a little older now and he's a little, he could be harsh sometimes. And it's almost to the point where, it's not like makes you really excited to get back. And I think for you, it's like you've never like squawked at me like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like, you don't practice? Like,
yes.
You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. I think you just really lead by example. And that's, I think, the best way to lead.
I appreciate that. I think when I think about that, I very much realize just that it's a journey. You know what I mean? And I look back at my own life, and I was raised Catholic. I got all my sacraments. Thanks be to God. My parents did the right things in regards to those things. But I think similar to you, I wasn't going to Mass every single Sunday. You probably, and from what I understand about your parents, and I can't wait to meet your parents, truthfully, Joe and Terry, the best. It seems like they were pretty devout still throughout. And for me, it was like maybe we went to Mass on an Easter or on a Christmas one year, and I could probably count on one hand how many times I even remember that. But I remember like going to school, going away to college. Before that, having a little bit of a dive back into my faith, having a little bit of that, just kind of feeling similar to you of like, man, like going to church, being in that peaceful setting, right? That kind of exit from everything that's going on around you, having more of that serenity and that safe haven there. And then that just kind of is like a seed, right? And it starts to, similar like the hibiscus plant you brought back here, it starts to blossom.
Yeah.
And I think for me, even when I think about my faith journey and my wife's role in it, when we first started dating, she comes from such a devout Catholic family. And, I remember she was like, cool, like, yeah, we're going to Mass. Like, are you going to come? And I'm like, my dad needs help in the yard this Sunday. And she was never like, you need to come to Mass. Like, if you're not like, mortal sin, hell, those types of things. Obviously, it was more of like patience, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like when you think about faith and why we're even doing this and talking about furthering it, it's a seed. And you have to plant that seed and, nourish it. And that's with the sunshine, the water, the dirt. And over time, it starts to grow. And everybody has different paths. But what's really awesome for me to see is that we're about a year into that event of you coming. And you go to Mass every single Sunday. You came on the Baltimore pilgrimage with us. You're an active member in Rosary and Real Estate. You and I went to daily Mass and then got coffee. And it's just it's really amazing. And I think I remember looking back at the event that we went to. It was Tim Belko's event.
Yeah.
And you and I, we were both at the event. We might have said 3 words to each other. We sat on basically opposite ends of the table. But I remember leaving that event And it was great, connected with a handful of people. It was more like sit-down dinner type of vibe. And I was just like, yo, that kid Joe, there's just something about him that, like, I need to hit you up. And I hit you up, and I was like, yo, man, sorry we didn't really get a chance to connect much. Like, want to connect further with you. But it's just kind of that, like, gravitas, that the way you carry yourself. And I was like, that guy, he needs to be Catholic. Like, that was my mentality. I was like, he needs to be a Catholic. And you were a Catholic, obviously, you know what I mean? But, and then it's funny how that all kind of plays out. So
yeah,
I'm very happy that it has gone the way that it has.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's been a good journey. You know, in the most simplistic terms, you know, like, my life has gotten better as my spirituality has grown, right? And leaning back into my faith. Like, if I think of last July, starting that and what this past year has brought me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that I've leaned into that more, and things in my life are starting to happen that I want to happen, you know, that I aspired to be, and, like, work's really good. My relationships are really good. And I mean, I honestly, around that time, I read a book, and it's like the 5 Pillars of Wealth.
I've heard
it. You know, it's a great book because it's, you know, it goes into each one. It's like basically broken into the 5 segments, but it's not a dense read. It's pretty easy. And it's going through, like, okay, like, true, like, financial wealth, right, is one thing. Then you have your physical health, physical wealth, mental wealth, relationships, and then spirituality. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's, like, little exercises that you go through. And what it does is it tells you, hey, like, think of this as dimmer switches, not regular switches, right? Like, just because one's on doesn't mean the other's off. They could all be on, but, like, understand there's going to be seasons where, you know, certain dimmers are going to be on higher than others.
Yes.
And then there's, you know, different, which is a great perspective to look at it, by the way, because that's really what creates, like, you know, wholeness, like you're taking care of your physical health, you're really strong with your mind, you're connected, you know, through your religion, you're eating well, you're having great relationships with people and having social interactions. But, you know, when I was doing, like, the quiz results, like, oh, well, let's see where you are now. Like, how would you rate yourself? And, like, naturally, I'm, like, more always, like, pessimistic. I'm not going to be, like, 10.
Right, sure.
So I'm, like, hard on myself as it is. But, I mean, I went to spiritual, and I was like, 1?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Like, 1, is that even worth it? Like, you know, I couldn't put 0 because it was, like, I am Catholic. And, like, whenever it comes down to it, like, when I see even that word, like, spiritual health, I think my religion. Like, I'm not like, oh, maybe I'm Buddhist, or, like, right. I don't think of, like, another thing. Like, it wasn't like, oh, like, maybe I'm Catholic, but maybe it's not for me. Like, I never felt that. I never strayed from it. If someone asked me, I am Catholic, I believed
more
it.
Catholic.
Yeah. But I wasn't, like, you know, practicing it as much. So I think when I did that too, like, that was really eye-opening, because it was like, okay, like, that is something that's important. I'm not even arguing with that. Like, it hit me. Like, I was like, I agree it's important.
Yeah.
Well, what am I doing to fix that?
Yes.
And again, I think it was all around the same time. Then it was like, you know, that probably did make me think about your event and be like, I should do that, right? Because it was like, hey, like, this is something that's missing in my life. This is someone I respect who really, you know, has been a positive influence in my life. Like, I am going to go to his event. I'm okay with getting uncomfortable. And like I said, everyone I've gone to, I don't try to go and act like I know it. I sit back and I listen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's the second side of it, is like, even when I go to Mass now, like, I'm not, you know, when I was a kid, I would go, like, Christmas and Easter.
Yep.
My mom and grandma went every Sunday. Yes. My mom and dad now go every Sunday. Beautiful. Like, so that's always been, like, in my mind, like, my family went to church on Sundays, but, like, me and my brother, like, didn't, and they didn't, my mom never, like, made us, you know, but we always went on Christmas and Easter. But it was like, I would go and, like, all right, this is an hour. Right. And you're, like, sitting there and you're just, like, more or less just thinking, I'm sitting in a seat for an hour. Yes. Not necessarily, like, genuinely interested, or like interested in what they're talking about. Yep. Right? Like, again, listening. Yep. And I think now, like, when I go, it's almost like the Mass ends and I'm just like, wow, like, it's already 12 or, like, whatever. It flew by, because I just feel like now too, even just, like, the structure of the Mass and knowing, like, what's happening next, but, like, more importantly, like, all of the readings throughout, and then especially, you know, after the readings, and, like, my priest will come down and really break it down. I think what he does and what you would appreciate is, like, he really breaks it down into real life, today's situations. Like, okay, what did we just read? What do we want to take away from that? Here's the main point. How do we, like, do that in our everyday lives now? Here's how you do it. And it's like, it leaves you with such, like, small homework, and, like, such a small thing to realize. Like you said, it's like a seed. It's like, okay, like, I went to Mass today. That's my takeaway. and me watering it's, taking that with me every day till next week's mass.
Dude.
And it's just so simple, it's not anything deeper than that, but it's I don't like put it another thing. I leave every time I feel better than when I walked in.
Yes.
It's like there's not when there's things like that available, those are things I gravitate towards. You know what I mean too? So it's like, and that's 100% consistency. I've never left and felt like worse.
Yes.
So
dude, it puts everything in perspective, right? Obviously, and we'll get into your background a little bit more in regards to real estate and the things that we do, the things that you're a part of course. But there's something about having mass, having your faith, that when you have it and you're equipped with it, everything that happens around you, you have an opportunity to see it from a perspective of gain, right? Because it's like, especially from the Catholic perspective, this is why, and even at the Rosary Real Estate, I never force it on anybody, right? Like, it's like, if you're not a Catholic, that's totally okay. You're always welcome, right? Even if someone was a Buddhist or whatever, I'd say come through. Like, it's totally fine. There's no restraints on those things. One thing I love about being Catholic that you may have picked up on at this point, you might not have yet, we have a certain appreciation for suffering, right? We look at Jesus Christ wearing a crown of thorns on the cross, and we say that's what we're called to be, right? Now, will we all be crucified on the cross? Most likely not, right? But the way that we go about our daily life and the sufferings that we face, we have an opportunity to unite that to the cross. So I think for my perspective of being a real estate investor from my occupation, and similar to you, obviously being a real estate investor, being on the lending side as well, when you go against struggles, and even outside of business and work, right, just life-related things, when you have those struggles, you have an opportunity to look at this and not say, God, why is this happening to me? You say, God, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
Right? What are you trying to teach me? What can I learn in this moment? And then you have a different appreciation for everything that goes on around you.
Yeah.
And I think just in today's world in general, with how crazy everything is, if you take that mindset and that perspective, you are going to be significantly better off. And that is where I think a lot of people stop relying so much on themselves, start relying on God, and that's where things open up. And I will bring it back to what you said before too, of just in this past year that you've been going about this and growing in your faith journey, you feel a difference in your life. Tell me more about that if you don't mind. What kind of differences do you feel?
I mean, a lot. I think there was I would say about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was just at an inflection point in my life where like it wasn't where I wanted to be.
Yep.
And I didn't see necessarily it's not that I didn't like where it was going, but I didn't feel like it was progressing. Like I felt like I was, I was at my old job for 9 years and I felt like I was just doing it. I was doing my job, doing my occupation. I was just going through the motions. It felt very much as if like I wasn't, paving my own path for my life. So I mean, there was a lot of like deep, introspect, like what's going on? What don't I like about this? What is missing in my life? And kind of like reverse engineering where I was currently and where I wanted to be. And like that, there were some very big decisions I made in my life during that time period. Right. And, while I believed at the time, I'd made the decisions because I believed they were the right decisions. And, I wouldn't say when I made the decisions, I was like in the same place I am now from a spiritual perspective. But I always, same way you say it, but like I say, like life happens like for you, not to you.
Yes.
And I've always taken that, when you get hit with certain stuff, I just don't see any positive or any benefit to not looking at it like that.
Yep.
I think when you do, you see it as just like an obstacle that you need to, make an adjustment or do something to get around. Like it's not the end of the world. You don't have to collapse. I think it's if you don't, you have a victim mindset. And I just personally, it's like, whatever, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But like, I will never see eye to eye with you. I'll respect you. Like if that's how you want to live, but I will never, support it. I'll never be like, yeah, that's a great idea. You should think it like that. I just wouldn't. Yep. So it was a lot of changes, a lot of big changes in my life. And then, like I said, we met last year, I did the assessment. I saw this isn't something I've been leaning into. And like between that of like last year and then so many big decisions and changes in my life, these past 12 months have been really incredible. Like really realizing like, hey, that decision you made to leave your job and the decision you made not to choose the other two offers that were in front of you that may have looked better,
yes,
to go do the thing that you kept getting pulled back to when you were making that decision, and you didn't know why necessarily, but you were like, this is it.
Yes.
And going with that.
Yes.
Right. And like really feeling it and saying, this is the thing I should be doing. And now to see it like really start to flourish, like now I'm a year and a half in, and like I wish it for everyone, like to be able to do something that I love as my occupation is all I ever wanted. And like, that's where I'm at now. And I genuinely love what I do every single day. I love the people that's brought into my life on that sense. And I just think that even with like the way I look at projects, you know what I mean? Like, and now I'll put an offer in on a house, and it's like, Lord, if I'm supposed to have this house, have the agent call me tomorrow and tell me it's mine.
I love it, dude.
Because I leave it up to
Yes.
it in that sense. You know, I do my own thing.
Yes.
But I put in offers, and they're like, I'm not even nervous anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, if it's the right before, you know, and I wouldn't get beat up, but you know, for me, all my stuff I buy is MLS stuff.
Right.
For an investor, it's, you know, they're like, what are you talking? It's already, the wholesalers didn't get it. Now it's on MLS. How are you getting it?
Yes.
I get it because I put in a lot of offers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. I offer people what I could pay to do what I want to do with it. But that's a lot of no's in there, and I get it. But it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yes.
Right? And I do it because it's worked. But, you know, so I wouldn't say I necessarily would be like distraught or beat up. You know, if like I didn't get an offer, I'd be like, oh, like, you know, it wasn't meant to be.
Yep.
That was kind of the mindset, right? But now it's like really like, you know, the Haddonfield one recently, that's a huge purchase, and I have really good plans for it. I'm really excited. But like for a normal person, that could be really tough and like fearful. Like,
Yes.
wow, I'm going to take on that big of a project. And for me, I was like, well, this is what I need to do. Numbers look good. Put in the offer. And I said, I know this is a big project. I personally do not feel at this time it's bigger than I could take on. I feel like I'm ready for this, but you be the judge. You know what I mean? If it's
in prayer.
yes,
You're saying that.
and if it's meant to be, you know, it's meant to be. And I got that call, and it was like, it's meant to be.
Yes.
You know,
Dude, that's beautiful.
because there's all the things throughout it too that happen, right? It was like, oh, there was like the appraisals come back a little weird, and there's all those little like struggles, but it's like obstacle, push through it, obstacle, push through it, obstacle, push through it, because you know it's supposed to happen. You're like, yes, this stuff's frustrating, but it happens. You know what I mean? It's all happening for that reason. I'm in this situation for a reason, and I think that's where I found so much peace in my life, where I think of, you said like, what has this transition been? I think truthfully knowing that like I have someone in my life that is looking after me and wants the absolute best for me has just allowed me to walk with like such lighter feet than I have years prior.
Yes.
You know, where I taken on a ton of weight of like, oh, I'm going to do this project. It's on me. Like I gotta grind. I gotta underwrite this. I gotta get, everything was like, I just put a lot of weight on myself to like do these things. And I think now more or less like doing the work, but doing it with grace. 'Cause I know, you know, everything's going to be all right.
100%.
Everything's going to be all right.
That gasses me up, honestly. It really does. You know, and if you look at, you know, when you tell your story, it reminds me a lot of similar things that I've gone through. And I worked in medical device sales. I feel like I might have told you that before previously. And I felt similar to you. It was just like, I'm hitting this wall. It's like, I loved my boss there. He's still a good friend of mine. You know, I loved the opportunity that was there, but it wasn't what I loved to do. So, excuse me, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was like, cool, I'm going to change, you know, the way that I'm moving, and I want to get in real estate investing. And I started applying for jobs, got into my old company, Rebuild. That's a longer story, but I'm not going to get into it right now. But I remember I was praying so much about that decision. And I was talking to my father-in-law, who at that time wasn't my father-in-law because me and Christina had just got engaged. And I was like, this is what's in front of me. Like, I've been praying about this. I think that this is the right decision. I'm going to take this.
Yeah.
But here's what it comes with. A 50% pay cut, essentially. And, like, something that I know absolutely nothing about. I knew nothing about real estate investing. And his response was basically just like, if you've brought it to God and you've prayed about it, your path is blessed. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
If you bring it to God and you surrender it over to him and you say, you take care of it. You know, this is what I want, God, but your will, not mine. Exactly like Jesus Christ did in the agony of the garden. You're putting yourself in that position. It's going to be blessed. And clearly that's what's been going on with you. So it's beautiful to hear.
Yeah. No, it's been a very positive journey.
Yeah.
You know? And like from that July when we first met, like till now, like it could have been very easy. Like I go to church by myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I could just not go.
Yes.
It's very easy to not go. Like no one's checking in on me. I don't have any accountability partner. I just do it.
Yes.
You know, and I think for me, that's something that once I like recognize that too, like that's part of my Sunday ritual. Like, I like waking up. I like going on a walk.
You're a man of schedule.
I'm a man of schedule.
You are.
But it's like, hey, like a perfect Sunday for me. I like waking up. I like going on a walk, you know, go in the sauna, maybe do a cold plunge, make a nice breakfast. I go to 11. I don't go to the 9. So like I like doing all that before.
Yes.
Then I go to, you know, mass, and then it's midday.
Yep.
The sun's out.
Yep.
It's Sunday. Like, you know what I mean? Like then you have whatever you need to do for the rest of the day.
Yes.
But it's become part of my ritual. Like I remember the only time I missed mass it was Sunday. It was in February. It was the Sunday when the USA team played Canada for the gold medal in the Olympics.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was with my family at an Airbnb up in upstate New York.
No doubt.
And I remember the checkout was 11 a.m. and the game was at 8. So the game like ended, like it was amazing. Like I'm a huge hockey fan. Like
no doubt.
USA hasn't won a gold in my life. And like the women won 2 days before. Me and my brother, my dad are huge hockey fans. So my mom's making breakfast. We're in this Airbnb.
Yes.
We're watching. It was like an incredible day. But that was the only Sunday I wound up missing mass because it was also a snowstorm on the way home. So then we got back and then we got that huge snowstorm.
Yes.
So that was like the one time. But you know what? Even then I didn't. It was nice because I didn't beat myself up because of it.
Sure. And one thing that I will say is you remember it.
Yeah.
Which is also saying a lot right there, right?
Yeah.
You remember the day that you missed mass.
Yeah.
How many people could say that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that already, within itself, is showing the fact that you understand and value it, A, as part of your Sunday routine, of course, but B, the significance of going, right?
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is so huge.
I mean, because it's such a simple thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what I would recommend to anyone who's like, where do I start? Or like, if you're in the same situation as me, it's like individual prayer is fine, but I also think that, you know, you have to, I think your environment's everything, right? And like, I think, not saying like, oh, your house isn't good enough, like my house is fine, but it's place yourself in the environment that's going to help that grow, right?
Yes.
Get out of your comfort zone. Like, I didn't know that, you know, I just showed up at church that day.
Yes.
I even like looked on I was like, do churches have websites? I like looked it up. I was like,
That's great.
do you just go there? Like, it's fine, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of knew the concept of it, but I was like, you know, you're like picking a church, but it's not like you're going on like Google ads, like what church is best. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and there were a couple. So I was like, okay, I identified 3 and it was basically all vicinity.
Yep.
I was like, okay, what 3 are like closest to me? I'll try all of them and then I'll decide.
No doubt.
And I went to the one, right, that one day, and I was like, this is the best.
This is the one.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
I didn't even go to mass at the other 2 because I was like, this is the one I want to be at. But like, it was all because I just got out. You know what I mean? And I went to mass, like not being like, oh, like, where do I start? Sunday. Go to mass on Sunday.
Yeah.
See how you feel after.
Yeah.
Like, just go.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Jump in. Like, it's great to pray, but like, if you haven't been to mass, just go to mass. And then even deeper, bringing it back, was when we went to confession. I remember I was so nervous. I was like online. I'm like, what's the prayer that I'm saying? Like, when I tell them what I did wrong, like, how long am I telling them? Like,
Yes,
and then it was
yes,
like,
yes.
it broke it down. It's like the 10 Commandments, like, break it down, like, by category. Like, just focus on these and, like, where you sin. And, like, I remember I was nervous. You're like, dude, you got to just go in there. Like, they'll have the prayer cards there. So I did. I walked in. You know, I said, I had pulled the prayer card out. I said it. And then we went through, you know, the list. And, like, I believe is, you know, your priest. What's his
Father Tim.
Father Tim.
The
Yeah.
best, man. Yeah.
He said, welcome home.
Welcome home is what he said.
He said, you're going to feel a little lighter on your feet today. I said, incredible. Let's do it. And I walked out there and I did.
And that was the first time you did confession. How long?
Probably like 15 years.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I remember when you said that afterwards when we went to the cigar club after.
It was when my brother had his confirmation. Because I remember I had to go before, because I was a sponsor.
Sponsored. Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
confession is one of those things. And, you know, it's exactly like what you said, right? It's like, just go to mass. And I think so many people, they look at these things. They look at mass. They look at confession. They look at even something like praying the rosary. And it seems like this surmountable thing to get over. And I think from my experience with talking with a lot of people, you're someone who's an absolute go-getter. So that's your MO, right? Like, you're just like, I'm going to go do it. A lot of other people, sometimes they're not there. And it's sometimes baby steps to get to that point. But once you get there, exactly what we were saying, and being in mass, going to confession, that feeling of relief, that feeling of serenity of being in Mass, the feeling of overwhelming forgiveness, being light on your feet, to use Father Tim's words, it's like, that is the pinnacle, right? And it's like, even for myself, it's like, you know, Christina and I, we really strive to go to confession like every 6 weeks at a minimum. And even when I go in every 6 weeks, I like, sometimes I'm like, I'll be sitting in the pew thinking about going in there, and I'm like, man, like, I don't even know, like, what did I do? Like, I can't really think about it. Then I do exactly what you said, go through the 10 Commandments, the 7 deadly sins, start reflecting, and all of a sudden you have an absolute massive list of all the stuff that you've done. And every time you walk out of there, it's the same feeling of just overwhelming mercy and love, like true divine mercy, divine love being poured out on you. Confession is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, it is.
Have you gone since then?
Once.
One
yeah,
time.
When I missed that Mass.
Why'd you go?
Because I missed Mass.
Yes, sir. Oh my gosh, Joe, you're hyping me up, dude. Seriously. No, it's because that's the growth, man. Yeah. That's the absolute growth, you know? So, obviously, you know, we've touched a little bit about what you do. We've talked a little bit about your past, but tell me a little more in regards to, like, your parents, how they raised you, where you kind of fell off. Was it going away to school? How did that look? And then also get into a little bit about who you are right now and what you actually currently did.
So my parents, yeah, they both, my parents both went to Catholic school growing up.
Yep.
I actually went to preschool at their Catholic. My parents have been together. My dad was 16. My mom was 14.
Okay.
So they've been together their whole lives.
Wow.
They got married when my mom turned 18. My dad was 20. And then the school which they went to, Holy Cross in Trenton, that's where I went to, you know, preschool. And then, you know, baptized, got my communion. I went to CCD at Our Lady of Sorrows in Hamilton.
Nice.
It was right by our house. So I would go there after school, and then I had my confirmation. And I never went every Sunday.
Yeah.
So I was doing the things, but like, you know, I think for me it was like, well, I went to CCD.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know. But I was also a kid, and like all I wanted to do was go out. I had a huge field behind my house, and we had a neighborhood of 12 kids.
Yes.
And we were out there playing baseball nonstop.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to do. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go like do some mischievous stuff.
Right,
I was like, no,
100%.
I'm going
like,
out I'm gonna be out there until I can't see the ball anymore.
Yes,
like
100%.
until it's pitch black. We're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like we had a cul-de-sac, and if it was cold, we played hockey every day. It was just like, you know, I was just a kid that was going out, and it was like, it wasn't anything like, oh, I don't believe in it or anything like that.
Right. You were just being a teenager.
I think it is tough for kids in a sense where when you really think of it, like if you pick up a Bible, even if I picked up the Bible right now, read it, it's dense. And then you want like an 8-year-old to like pick up what you're putting down. I think that's where, you know, from like your perspective, and like you already have, you know, 2 beautiful children, and it's like, it's you taking what you know, the dense part of the Bible and turning it into things where like your kids can really grasp it. And I think CCD does good at like educating, but you gotta, like, kids are young still at that time. You know, sometimes if it was a subject in school, it's probably the most dense subject to pick up on when you're explaining it, because you really have to, you know, it's not just like 2 + 2 = 4, or like this is the alphabet. It's like these are like words that likely half of them they never heard, or at least like the way it's worded, you know, so it like throws children off. So I think, you know, that could have been a challenge, and I think that's where it was like a little hard for me. I felt like foreign, like the readings and stuff. I was like, I'm not really picking up what they're putting down, but I get it. Like 100%. Jesus loves us. I'm Catholic. You know what I mean? Be a good person. Like I took the basics.
Yes. On that note, I'll just say one thing, because I 100% agree with you. And I think about this too. I'm like, all right, you know, my kids right now, they're obviously still so young, under 3 years old. So how do I keep it fresh? How do I keep them wanting to understand more? And I think a big thing is, you know, when we were kids, who did we want to be growing up, right? Like, I wanted to be like Rocky Balboa, right, of course. But like also Batman, things like that, right? The Bible is absolutely very dense. It's hard to read, but the stories in there can be captured in a way that they can be heroic, because they are, right? So it's like, how do we keep our kids wanting to know more about the Bible? You teach them these stories, and you have them look up to these, you know, absolute, you know, influencers are not the best word in the Bible, right? But like the people that are the patriarchs and the prophets, and these people that have these amazing stories in the Bible, and that is how you get your kids to be caught into it.
I think that's like exactly it. Yeah. You know, I think that's an incredible way to do it.
They realize these things, right? It's like, oh, King David, for instance, like I love David, because he's imperfect, but he goes through these phases in life where he's young, he is extremely bold in his faith, right, where he goes up against Goliath, and he looks at Goliath, and he's like, this guy is talking bad about God's people? Like, I'm not letting that happen, right? And he's got this just like this absolute swagger to him, and he goes and he defeats Goliath. So when you hear that as a kid, right, you could relate that in your own sense, right? It's like you see a bully at school. It's like, I'm David, that's Goliath. Like, there's a way to relate to that, right?
Yep.
And then even when you go further, you go deeper in your life, and you're in a position where you have to make tough decisions. And you look back at King David and you say, man, every decision, he brought it to God first. If I continue to do that, I will continue to have God on my side, and I will be blessed in those things. And that is what you do. So it's if you can ingrain that in them at a young age, and they grow up with those stories, and they know it, and it's embedded in their DNA, they will fall back on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, everybody has role models. Everybody has one. I pray to God that, my kids' role models are the saints. Like, that's why I want them to be role models, right?
Yeah.
Of course, like, listen, my daughter watches Tangled and Rapunzel. She loves her. Like, sure, I'm not that strict. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I hope that she wants to be like, Saint Therese or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
No, for sure. I think that's a
great.
great spin on it. You know what I mean? And I think the way you're saying it, true too. It's like, I'm sure that's what you're doing, which is incredible. Because it's not. What I like is it's not like, oh, we need to change it. Because then that's where I think it gets hairy.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh well, what should we do? Like, what adjustment should we make? Do we need to be this strict about this? And it's no, like, you're not changing it, right? But like, what you're doing is taking away what kids grasp. Is like a kid having how many, they have their books, they have their stories. It's something you genuinely do, and you have these. I think what you do a really good job of too is like, you're such a good educator of these moments, these events, the holy days, and all of that through your social media, right? Like I even have, my mom like loves following you for that reason. Even my aunt's like following you now, and she's like, he's such a good educator, and like,
You got to give me your handle. I might not be following her back.
Yeah.
Make sure I follow her
but
back. So.
it's I think what you're doing is like God's work in that sense. You know what I mean? It's not, again, not taking it and changing it at any mean, but taking it and delivering it in a way that, really relates to people that are already practicing the faith, and just trying to deepen it, or even those who aren't, right? You make it very palatable in a sense where it's like, oh, that is a badass story, or like, you know what I mean? There's something cool within that, and there is something to relate into that too, right? Even if it's a certain phase in life or whatever it is, it's like, oh wow, like, I'm not alone, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah, 100%. I think another thing too with looking at CCD, we were on the pilgrimage. Roman, who I want to definitely have him on this at one point, he had said something that stuck with me. He was like, we got to make, being Catholic cool again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing too, right? And it's like, I think that's another reason why I was kind of drawn to you, and I was so happy that you showed up for the Rosary Real Estate event and that it's become what it is, because, you got the swagger, right? Like, it's like, it's like when you see people that, have this way about them, that you look at them and you're like, wow, like, that person has their life together, or whatever the case might be. And then they also are wearing their faith on their sleeve, and they're like, yeah, I'm a Catholic. You realize, you're like, wow, like, that person's not afraid to talk about their faith, to live their faith openly and publicly in a world that puts it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think back on, some of these stories that I read and all of this stuff, but like, even I'm reading this one book right now. It's from this guy, Father Patrick Peyton. It's his autobiography. It's called All for Her. He was born in the early 1900s, maybe 1908 or 1915, somewhere along those lines. And
somewhere between that 7-year period.
Somewhere between that 7-year period. So, somewhere in there. And he was out in Ireland. And he was one of either 6 kids or 9 kids, whatever it was. And like, his whole family, every night they prayed the rosary together. He wanted to be a priest. His parents wanted him to be a priest. How many parents now are saying, like, I want my kid to be a priest? Those are very rare,
yeah.
Right? And the realities are, it's just the way that the world has shifted. It's more of like, I want my kid to be a doctor. I want my kid to be a lawyer. I want my kid to make a lot of money. I want my kid to be successful. I want my kids to go to heaven. Like, that's the realities. You know what I mean? And we need to get back to that being the forefront. And I think when that has fallen back and that stopped being the forefront on parents' minds, we had this massive shift. And that's another reason why I think just like talking about faith makes people uncomfortable. They're like, oh, I don't really want to like bring that up. Like, I don't know how that person's going to respond. Where the realities are, like, that should be what we are openly discussing, because it's the thing that matters more than anything.
Yeah. I agree. I think that, what do they always say, like, don't talk about politics or religion? That's just been like a thing. I remember that was like a business thing too. Like, oh, you meet with clients, or like you're going to an event, like, no politics, no religion.
Yes.
Or like wherever you go. And it's like, I mean, stating what you are, no matter what it is. I mean, you don't have to take it too deep in a sense, but it's just like, okay, that's a man of values.
Yes.
You know, if you really think of that, if you're wearing that on your sleeve, it's like, okay, I respect that. Even if someone tells me they're not, like, I'm not out there like, hey, like if someone's not Catholic or Christian or anything like that, like I look at them differently or judge them any differently. Like, I love do your thing, whatever. But it's something where I think there's just like a lot of polarizing stuff in our world, right? Where it's very much like, what team are you on? Is it team A or team B? Or like, oh, what religion, or this or that? And it's like everything against each other. And I just think that that's what made people, or has made people, probably even more cautious or like conscientious of it. Like, oh, like I can only talk about it with my, Catholic friends, or I could only, openly talk about it at church or something like that, or maybe just with your family. And I think what you've done, which again, like you put it on blast, like you go out there, you're like every day, you have it on your stories, you have your podcast, you're going out there fighting the fight, because I'm sure you get a lot of backlash. Like I don't see it. We've never discussed it, but I'm sure like for the stuff you're doing, like you have people probably in your DMs like saying stuff that, I don't know, maybe it's easy for you to just like look at it and just be like, they don't understand, or like you're able to just brush it off, or maybe I'm sure you have people that are like very pointed about what they're saying, and like, what you're talking about too. And like, it's not like you're attacking, but it's like, no, come back and be like, actually, this is what it is. So like, I'm sure there's a battle behind the scenes that no one sees, that you really, put yourself out there to, be exposed to. So I commend you for that, because I'm sure that could be rough at times, or even in the beginning when you're not getting even the positive traction, right? And then the negative's there, and you're like, this is gonna be worth it.
Yeah. There was one time I remember where I was, because I've been on Instagram posting consistently basically since December 1st of 2025. That's when I started it, and it has grown a lot. I think when I first started, I had 1,700 followers, so we've grown significantly there. And I remember it was probably, I didn't really start to see true traction until like mid-January maybe. But there was one point, I feel like it was maybe at some point at the beginning of February, where I had like just spiritual fatigue. Like I was, because every time I posted something, I had people in the comments like basically being like, you're going to go to hell. Like that's what they would say, because of the things that I'm promoting. They don't agree with the Catholic faith. They don't agree with, Marian theology, all of those things. So anytime, especially Mary's always a big trigger for a lot of people, because they believe that Catholics worship Mary, which is obviously not the case. But it's misinterpreted, it's misunderstood, right? Yeah. So they'll get things like, you're going to hell, you're leading souls to hell, and that's heavy stuff sometimes. And I remember when I first started getting a lot of that, I was just like, dude, like this is a lot. Like, it's one thing for somebody to like come at my character in whatever regard, that's fine. Like that's more of things I can handle. But for people to say like I'm sending people to hell is heavy things. And I remember I had a reflection moment, and I was just like, man, like this is like what it's gonna be, And I remember even when I first started posting, because before that, I was only really posting about real estate stuff. Like when I started, my Instagram handle is Frankie_REI, real estate investing, and I started posting that, and I remember like some people who are real estate investors were commenting, like kind of giving me backlash to what I was saying. And I was just like, this is like totally changing my image in their eyes, obviously now, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as Christ says, like, if they, hate you, they hated me first, right? If they, persecute you, it's because of me. And I firmly believe in nobody wins an argument, right? It's never going to be, advantageous if somebody says, you're sending people to hell, and I say, go to hell back to the guy. Like, it's never going to be advantageous, right? So all I could do is ask questions to understand their point of view, and hopefully those questions lead them to the right answers that I see, and they have some sort of conversion, and then pray for them. That's it, right? Literally, anytime somebody comments negatively, I really try my best to say a Hail Mary for them and hope that it changes in their eyes, right? And again, everybody has a journey. I mean, I look at some of the great saints, And I'm curious to know where you are kind of in like understanding the saints and all of that stuff. But there's one that is, his name is Bartolo Longo, Saint Bartolo Longo. He just got canonized on October 19th of 2025. And he was a satanic priest. The guy literally worshipped Satan. And he has this unbelievable conversion. And he becomes a very rosary-centered person, has this conversion, creates this beautiful church in Pompeii, which many of the popes go visit now, and ends up becoming a canonized saint. And you look at a guy like that, and you're like, anybody
Yeah,
can
at
be a
that
saint.
point, for sure.
Anybody. If that guy was literally doing black masses, worshiping Satan, and now he's received the beatific vision in heaven with Our Lady and all of the saints, and of course our Lord, anybody could be a saint.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality I try to keep when people are attacking me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think you definitely take it head on, more than most people. But again, I think because of what you're doing, like I mean, look at us here today and like having this conversation. Like I wouldn't be here, truthfully. Like I wouldn't be at this stage having this conversation and like everything that happened in the past year if like it wasn't for us. You know, wasn't for the influence you had on me. So I think for every one of those comments, like, what is a comment to like an actual human relationship and like, you know, all the beautiful things that come from it. You know what I mean? So I think you definitely move with grace, but you put yourself out there. You were very vulnerable, and I commend you for that. I definitely commend you for that.
Thanks.
You know you're a cool guy, right? So like the whole make it cool again. I think you're. I think you're driving that bus for everyone. And I think you're set, you know, like the stuff you put together. I mean, I'm sure, you know, I even felt it from your perspective when we went to Baltimore. I was like, this has to be awesome for him. Yeah. I mean, to throw out like, hey, on a Wednesday, who wants to take a party bus at 10:30 in the morning to Baltimore, Maryland to hit 3 churches and then take it back here and like, was there 16 of us from all different like walks of life. So, I mean, even from my perspective, right? Like Martino, who's going to be on here, he was there. So like he pulls up and like, my man, what's up? So like I'm hanging with Martino, like, you know, Mike Conti's there, who I've obviously been friends with in the past. Obviously some new people that I, you know, just met. But it was such a cool like experience. Like, and the fact, like you said, like it wasn't just like even like a Saturday or Sunday, like all of us at some point carved out like right in smack dab in the middle of our week to go do something like that. Yes. That I'm sure for you, you know, something sparked it. I'm actually curious to hear like what sparked that. Like, hey, I want to go to Baltimore. I mean, I know when you travel, it's, you know, forefront. Like I think you mentioned you're going to Massachusetts with your family, and like that's part of like you traveling up there is like you look into those things. So it's not like against the grain, but for you to just be like, hey, I'm going to throw this out to like try to fill a party bus. We're going to go to Baltimore. I want to hit these churches, which were incredible, by the way. But like to see that all come together, I'm sure that felt really cool.
It was awesome. Yeah. And I don't even remember what sparks these things, man. I just like, I mean, I really, I'm not just saying this, like I have some of my best ideas while I'm praying the rosary. And I think I just, you know, I think evangelization is something that I really love to do. Like having this combo with you, seeing your growth. I love that. And I think even from when I was 18, 16, 17 years old, that time where I was training kids in karate and I would watch their growth in karate, I always took pride in that. I loved seeing it. And I think as my life has progressed, it's gone through different phases. So it was like teaching karate. That's awesome. Being in medical device sales and having some new people on the team and being able to teach them medical device sales. That's awesome. Being in real estate, teaching people, helping like Eddie get his first house hack, you know, get them to buy their first houses. That's awesome. What is the highest level though? Converting souls back to Christ. I mean, there's nothing higher than that, right? So I think when I first had the conversion interiorly, and then I saw building my family and what that looks like and the importance behind that, you know, that's the tier. It's like, if you want to evangelize the world, there's actually a very systematic way to do it. You evangelize yourself first, then you evangelize your family, then you evangelize your community, then you evangelize further out and further out and further out until you've evangelized the world, right, essentially. Now, it's not you doing the evangelization, it's the Holy Spirit moving through you, right? So when I talk to you, essentially what it is it's a gratuitous grace. Really what that means is 2 things are happening. The Holy Spirit's working through me to connect to you, and there could be 1 or 2 disconnects there. The disconnect be, I could say something invalidly, right, and it doesn't connect because it was an invalid thing that I said, or it's that interiorly you actually don't comprehend it or hear it, and that's why it doesn't switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Holy Spirit moves through me, and the conversion happens through you from the Holy Spirit. So all of that to say is, if you want to evangelize yourself, you want to evangelize your family all the way to the world, the Holy Spirit's doing that. But I think once I've hit that level of, wow, I'm on fire with the Lord, and believe me, it goes through dry spells, right? Like, and I remember bringing that to confession and Father Tim one time. I was like, man, my rosary just feels dull. I feel like I'm walking through the motions. And he said, even the greatest saints have gone through dryness. And if you could push through that dryness, that's where you unlock new levels of holiness, right? Because you're going to have those moments like the Baltimore trip, cloud 9, right? The first rosary and real estate event where everybody was praying the rosary at the end, cloud 9. The moments of praying for something and then it instantaneously happening and you're like, oh my gosh, like Christ is real. There's no way that he's not. Cloud 9. It's when you're in more of the depths, the trenches, where it's like my life just feels monotonous. It's like every day is the same thing over and over again. There's no spark, but you continue to get up every morning and pray. You continue to get on your knees bedside at night and pray. You continue to pray the rosary, even when you don't feel it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a very important thing that as you grow in holiness, you start to understand too. Prayer is not really for you. Although it has absolute beneficial, you grow deeper in your relationship with Christ through prayer. It's not necessarily always supposed to make you feel good. Because if it was just to make you feel good, if it wasn't making you feel good, you wouldn't do it. And you should always do it, right? It's like, having your vitamins in the morning, right? Do I enjoy putting back 3 capsules? No, like who does, right? But at the same time, I know that it's beneficial for my health. So if I continue to pray, I know it's beneficial for my health, whether I feel good or I don't.
Yeah.
But getting back to that point, I think once you realize, in a situation like you or somebody else where it's not just so much of you going to Christ now, you're playing a part in Christ's plan to bring somebody else to him.
Yeah.
There's nothing better,
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, I think that's like, you're doing God's work in that sense, with what you do, with so many people. Like, I mean, not one of the 16 of us would have been in Baltimore that day going to look at those churches if you didn't plan that. You coordinated that event, and then you bring people together, right? And then those relationships deepen, and then like you host another event, and it's like, oh, like I remember you from, like last night at D&D, like the one guy was there from the tour, or from the pilgrimage.
Yes, Mike Stefanski.
Mike.
Yep.
That was the first time I met him, was at the pilgrimage. I see him there last night, right? So then, you start bringing these people together in the same room every once in a while, and those, relationships deepen. And I think, when you could, you could only do so much. I think you do a lot, but, when you have 16 people beating to the same drum, the magnitude of positive change and prosperity and whatever it is just much more applicable, right? When you have a group of guys, or even, women fighting the same fight, believing in the same thing. Every event I've gone to with you, I've left definitely feeling like buzzing at another level, buzzing at a different frequency.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. Real fast, obviously, we've talked a little bit about it. We've touched a little bit about it, but tell everybody what you do for a living at this point in your life.
So I would say there's like 2 sides of my life, but they're very vertically integrated, or I guess like horizontally or integrated. But so my profession and where I'm employed is, Renovo Financial. So I'm a private money lender, and so I fund fix and flips, new construction, rental properties. And I think, what my religion has done for me in that sense is it's very easy to just say that.
Yes.
But yeah, I fund flips, new construction, rental loans, all that. How I look at it, truthfully, is I lend money. Let's use you as an example, right? You're acquiring a property. I lend you the money to acquire that property.
Yes.
Throughout that process, you have your contractors who are working on it, who are getting paid and feeding their families through that process. You have the family that is now going to rent one of your properties, living in a freshly renovated house, right? Giving them the best living conditions that they can in the area, because you guys do great work. So what is that? I mean, the one couple got married, right?
Got married
recently
in our house.
in your house. I mean,
It's so wild. They literally
had
had their wedding in a 948 square foot.
Yeah.
3-bedroom.
But how beautiful is that? You know what I mean? And from your perspective.
And they want to buy the house. So we're getting them pre-approved right now to buy the house.
So there, and you have that, and then you have what it does for the community, the neighbors, the neighborhood, and the values of those, you know, those individuals' homes, and then coming all the way back to you and your team and all that, like all because of one loan.
Yes.
You know, I'm not saying that's the reason all that happened, but the way I look at it is that is the domino,
Yes.
right? That I have some sort of positive impact on starting that trend that then ripples to whatever, right? Because
100%.
then that money that you take away from that deal at the end goes into the next one.
Yes.
And then we do it again and we do it again. And like that at scale to me, I just like, I feel like I really am doing great work.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because so many people's impact, like so many people are fed through that process.
Yes.
For the better.
Yeah.
So I think, again, being more aligned with my faith now has allowed me to look at it at such a deeper perspective that like that's why like it's not just funding a new deal. Like that is fun, don't get me wrong, it's awesome when like I have someone who's like taking down their first flip and I could just hear it in their voice like how excited and passionate they are about that project and like helping that come to life and get them to that point is incredible. But the you know the ripple effect behind it is what I really love. And then on the side, you know, I do some projects myself still, so like that's how I found my job. I was in tech sales, taking kind of some of the earnings I was making there and started investing in real estate, really found my passion in it, realized I loved it. And that's where, you know, I'm grateful for it because that's what allowed me to realize that like, hey, like this is what I genuinely have energy to do. Stuff that I'm like waking up, putting my feet on the ground, like excited to take on the day. And that's what it was when I did my first few projects. Then I, you know, took on the role at Renova, which has been incredible because that's just put me around these people every day, right? These are the conversations, like my job is to have these conversations, which is incredible. Learning about different markets and different ways people are investing. And I think just connecting people too is something I've loved doing. I love connecting people. Especially when, you know, when just to help people out, it's like, hey, like none of us need to reinvent the wheel.
Yes.
We're all doing it. Let's, oh, you want to get into this or there's something you should talk to this, you know, like collaboration, I think is incredible in the real estate community. I think it's not territorial at all. I think everyone's willing to share, which is beautiful. So then, I do some projects on my own. Like a big one this year is last year, I purchased the property down the shore.
Yes.
So I'm knocking that down and building, you know, a new construction house. And like, that's been such an incredible process. Like the whole, you know, because I think of that too. It's like such legacy behind it.
Yes.
It's like I could drive by that place in 50 years with my grandchildren and just be like, that's the first house I built.
Yeah,
100% proud. But it's cool. Like it really is.
Yeah.
And where is that going to go? You know, I love it right now. So I got, and you know, I think that's probably what I'll do long term.
Yep.
You know, Renova is my main driver. That's where my focus is, and in helping my, you know, the people I work with grow, and then, you know, take on some stuff that's more of a passion. Like it's definitely like a financial, you know, decision. Sure, it's not just I'm just going out there trying to do these things, but I enjoy it, man. It brings me a lot of energy, and I love. I really love the cohesiveness I have between like my passions and my work.
Love it, dude.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So I want to segue a little bit to your daily routine right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a year that you've been growing in your faith.
Yeah.
What are you doing on a daily basis? Obviously, we talked about how you're, you know, going to mass every Sunday, right? That's a priority of yours. You've been to confession. What does your daily prayer life look like?
Morning and night.
Yes.
I would say are the standard for me.
The bookends.
Yeah, like the bookends for me, and then I think throughout the day, it's not like every day, like midday or if something comes up, but you know, it's just like where life is at that time, where maybe there may be, even if it's not to me, it's almost like, I would say my morning and night become, are like prayer, and it's almost like during the day it's conversation.
Yes.
Right? Maybe not formalized, like, hey, like, you know, but I'm having I find myself like having that conversation, not to myself, you know, like people are in their head, but it's like, no, I'm having that.
Yeah.
You know, like I am
like submitting an offer.
Yeah.
Being like, Lord, I put that in your hands. Exactly.
Yeah. Like it's, you know, you're having those conversations throughout it. And then I just think for me, it's just how like I'm living my life, like in the sense of like step by step, doing the right thing.
Yes.
You know, whether that's work, whether it's like my personal life, is just like trying to be the best version of myself and like lead with my faith, you know, because I think that's the beauty behind it is, you know, life isn't about money. And I think that's like where people get lost of the importance in that, right? I think
I want to know, when in your life did you come to that realization?
in 2024, that's when I like, look, I was, you know, I mean, you even said it, you came to my house, you're like, what is this? And I was like, that's my old job.
I thought it was your parents' house, honestly. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was like, there's like 3 or 4 cars in the driveway. Is it his dad and his mom's car? Or like, no.
But you know, that was with my old life. Like it was, you know, I was making money and I was working with great people. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some of my closest friends I met at that company, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It taught me a lot of life, like professional skills that allow me to do what I'm doing today at a higher caliber than I would ever be able to do it. Like that. I mean, even like things you would appreciate is just like suit and tie every day, only white and blue undershirts, had to be a blue suit, like your hair had to be done, you had to have your dress shoes on, you couldn't wear red ties because that was our competitor's color, but like I always had to be clean shaved. So people were always like, oh, like you're always
the Yankees?
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, like you can't grow a beard. I'm like, honestly, I've just been shaving every day since I left college because my old company, and I also can't grow a beard, so it's not anything with that, but like it just instilled like a lot of that stuff, you know. And then in 24, that's when I was doing my deep reflection. I was like, it's great, I have all these things. I'm not trying to say like, oh, like I want more, like what's wrong with me? Like it wasn't champagne problems. No, it was like a deeper problem. It was like, hey, there's something missing. There's not alignment there. And it was like, hey, like, yes, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm also, again, waking up even earlier to not even do like a morning routine. No, I'm waking up to shower, to shave, to put on my suit.
How you doing?
To go to this job, to be driving hundreds of miles a day to clients.
Yes.
To get home at 6:37, to just be so tired to just take off my suit, eat, and then like watch TV maybe and go to bed. And like that was just rinse and repeat. So it wasn't that. What I realized I wanted was, yes, there had to be more alignment. I wanted to be more passionate about the work I was doing, but also was the freedom of my life to live it the way I want to.
Yeah.
I want to wake up and I want to go on a walk in the morning. I want to have a workout in the morning. I want to have a great breakfast, right? You're out here grilling steaks in the morning. I do the same thing.
Yes,
like
sir.
I want to brew my coffee. I want to relax. I want to work with people who appreciate the good work I'm doing. I want to surround myself with people that I want to surround myself with. Like those are my clients. But then also it's just like, while I'll never say money's not important.
Yep.
Right, because I think anyone who says that like never had it. Like it is like,
Right.
you know, like there's stressors in life that like are just nice to not have when you have money. You know what I mean? Like knowing like, hey, like water heater goes, like fix it on Monday. Call someone and have them fix it on Monday. Like that stuff's beautiful, and like there's other things as well. But I think for me it was like you think of just the backbone of the religion, and like happiness comes from like conversations like these, relationships like these, doing good for someone else, serving others, helping other people. I think a lot of what you say on the educational side of thing is that, right? It's you serving others, right? It's not just like, it's easy to say that's educating, but I think you're serving.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's where, you know, you start realizing, for me at least, it was the freedom of my schedule, the freedom to choose the people I surround myself with, the freedom to choose the work I do, the freedom to, you know, engage in the relationships that I'm engaging in. And then more importantly of like doing well for others, like being there for people, like whether it's just a conversation, you know, that I've realized too, you know, recently making time for deeper conversations with people in my life, and like leaving those, even like, you know, I had one honestly today with like the kid who I bought my Haddonfield place from. Like he hit me up today. He was like, hey, how's like everything going? Like, you know, because we both, you know, we stay in touch, but he's feeling a little lost, like professionally. Like he's like, I don't know what avenue to take. Like, do I want to, you know, I love real estate, but do I need like my actual job to not be in real estate? Am I, you know, he's kind of more analytical. So he's like, should I be too concentrated in one thing? And I like had a conversation about my experience and where I'm at now. And like, just like him getting off the phone, he's like, dude, like, this was incredible. Like I needed this. And that's like a 30-minute phone call that I had like driving back. And it was like, that's what fills you up, right? Being there for someone, and like not knowing how much just taking that 30 minutes and like listening to them talk and being a sounding board for them, like could change their day. And it's like, had that conversation and then showed up here. So I'm like, you know, I know how today's going. Like this is a great Friday. Like, you know, but it's learning those things. And I think for me, all I was doing was working.
Yes.
I wasn't taking care of myself and like working out consistent. I really didn't have any consistent routine. My consistent routine was work and then whatever like filled in the gaps around the sides. And like you could just get lost in that, right? Like you're not working out consistently. You're eating. I'm on the road for 12 hours. Like I'm not eating steaks. I didn't have time for breakfast this morning. I'm eating takeout food, and then I'm getting home and I'm exhausted, and then like I'm stressed out because a client like did this, and it was just like I will say, I never really let it get to me. Like I'm not a type of person like shit could hit the fan like at work, and it's like everyone's going nuts, and I'm just like, it is what it is.
Yep.
Like I've always been like a very much you can control what you control.
Yes.
It's not ideal. I wouldn't ask for it to be this way,
Right.
but it is,
Right.
and that's it.
No
We're gonna move forward. It's like
Yep.
no, like I've always glided with that, but I think what the career change and the thought around why money doesn't matter, like, or it's not the most important thing, right? It doesn't bring you happiness. It's a combination of multiple things, right? For me, it was the freedom to what you said, watering the plants at 1:00 on a Wednesday with your daughter.
Yes.
There's happiness in that, and like the memories that she's gonna have that my dad was home,
Yes.
watering plants with me on Wednesday at 1:00. That in tune is very incredible, and the positive impact you could just have on people, right? And I think for me, it's leaning into those conversations, pick up the phone and making the call, and just saying like talking to talk, right? I didn't really do that. For a lot of my calls were always very transactional.
Yes.
Like you're calling, it's like, oh, what's up? Like, what do you need? Like, you know what I mean? It was like something like that. It wasn't just like, hey, like, and I started doing it with you.
Yes.
And I know I call you in the midst of a lot of chaos.
You do. I remember one time you called me and you're like, hey man, what's up? Just like calling to say what up.
Yeah,
And
you're
I'm
jumping
like,
into it. You're like, hey, West Mary's going to be refied on this day. I'm like, dude, I'm not even calling about like any of that shit.
Yes.
I was like, I'm just calling to say what's up. And like, you hear the kids in the background and stuff.
That's
And it's
awesome.
like,
And that's what I love. And that's why, our relationship has grown to what it's grown, because it isn't just transactional.
yeah,
Obviously, there's a lot in regards to the faith, and there's a real lot in regards to that. But like, I know about your family, you know about my family, and that's like, it's an amazing thing. In regards to your bookends of prayer life, your morning, your night, that's excellent. And I think what you're describing is you do a lot of what's called like embodied prayer and spontaneous prayer, right? The spontaneous prayer of, Lord, I just put this offer in, like, let it be your will, spontaneous, but also the way that you carry yourself is embodied prayer. Every relationship, every conversation that you have, you are trying to put forth your best foot. And what that actually does is it images Christ in yourself, right? The way that you go about it. If you literally try to imitate Christ in everything, regardless of if it's a guy who's looking for money to close on a deal, right? Or it's someone who's coming to you asking for life advice, or it's someone who's coming to you eventually down the line, which I'm sure this is going to happen at some point for you, Joe, where they're saying, I'm lost in my faith. Now you've embodied the way that you are going about your life in this imitating of Christ. And that has, changed a lot for everybody that's around you, which is
for sure. And I mean, I've also noticed like people I've picked up on like stuff that we do, and like you'll repost, and it's like, oh, like it's nice you're getting out there, or like even my friends will just like make like comments, not like negative or anything, but it's just like, oh, and I'm like, hey, if me posting that could get someone to go to church on Sunday or to think about their faith more, or to whatever, it's like, great. That's, I'm not pushing it for that. It's not like, hey, like you guys need to follow me, but it's like, hey, like I will put myself out there. I will be vulnerable and show what I'm doing. And if like someone sees it, it's like, oh, wow, it's like interesting to see Joe like really put himself out there like that from his, from a religion standpoint. Like I've never really seen him as that person.
Yes.
But I always say too, it's like, it's not like it's not like I converted.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Like, I think there's a lot of people who like do these conversions to new, like they just found the Lord or like something like that, and they're converting to other religions. And by all means, like good for you. It's
sure. Yeah.
I'm glad you found, peace or like what you want to do. But also for me, it's like, I just wasn't vocalizing it, right? I wasn't embodying it as much. But I never hid from it. Yeah. It's never I was like, oh, like I was like scared to say it. I would say it. I just want to go out there and like blatantly say it to people, right? Because again, I kind of looked at it as like the political thing. Because even me for politics, like I never talked about it.
Yes.
Because I just didn't like, the only thing in my life where I'm like, hey, like I'm okay with this being, hey, I like that this group, you like that group, we're not friends, is like hockey or like sports. Like I'll say I'm a if I'm a Rangers fan, it's like whatever. Like, oh, like you're a fan of a team. Like I mean, I live in South Jersey. I'm surrounded by all people from Philadelphia. Yeah, I'm not like a huge, but I also like, the other thing is, I like seeing my friends happy. So like there's times where like, the Eagles going to the Super Bowl and stuff, like go Birds, what I mean? Like, dude, like I want to see my I'd rather see people I care about enjoy it, then like the Chiefs win. I'm not like, hey, like I want the other team to win so you guys aren't happy because I'm not happy.
Yes.
I never look at it through that lens.
Yes.
But like politics and religion, I never really, looked at it like that, where it was like, hey, I just never wanted to put myself where it's like, hey, like, well, you believe this, all right, well, that chops off 50% of people that I could be friends with. Like, I never looked at it like that. I was very much like, hey, appreciate you guys for everyone who they are. It wasn't, but I think now it's definitely gotten to a place where it's like, there's no need to hide it though. It's not like there's nothing to be embarrassed, and I was never embarrassed of it. But it's like I don't feel a need to like hide behind anything. It's like, yeah, I am, and that's okay. And like if someone did have a problem with that, that's okay too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's their choice. I can't control anything I can't control, but and the most purest intentions behind it as well. You know what I mean? So leading with that, it's like, oh, I'm leading with my faith. Yes, I am Catholic. This is what I practice. It's like there's all pure good intention behind that, right? There's nothing like demeaning or anything that I'm trying to get out of that. You're wrong, I'm right by any means. It's just, hey, this is what I believe in, and if you do too, that's great. And if something about me posting this inspires you to like lean into it a little more, maybe you need it, right? Maybe someone's going through a hard time. Yep. And they don't know what to do, and they're like, hey, maybe I should pray, or maybe I should go to church, and then maybe one little spark happens that lightens the load for them, and that motivates them to, hey, maybe there is something here, and then it goes and it goes and it goes, and like, hey, if that's what comes out of it, that's beautiful. You know what I mean, bro?
Before we wrap, what does kind of your future in faith look like? Where do you maybe see yourself going? Is there anything that you want to go to next? Is there any, like, if you look at yourself in like a year from now, like where do you hope your faith journey is kind of in that point?
I would say education now that I'm older, right? I think, like, as we talked about, like, the CCD art being dense back then. Yes. I think I want to make, outside of church. Yeah. Just becoming more educated on the faith and, like, the saints and the stories, like, stuff like that. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I lack that. Like, I don't know all the stories, and there are a lot of cool ones that, again, you share. So I catch stuff from, like, your reels coming across. I'm like, oh, that is cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's really helpful. That's, like, very nice, like, quick, like, you do a great job of that, and I encourage you to continue to do so, because, those just short clips of like educating on little things is really helpful. So I want to make a more conscious approach to just like deepening my understanding of the faith, because I think that's only, bringing me closer to it. And then I think being more intentional with my prayers. I think in my prayer life, it's very... sometimes the morning and the nights there's some consistency there, which I do like. Yes. I think there's a message that could be delivered in both of those that could remain consistent. And I do think there could be a second set, like, side of that, which is like more very intentional about like that day or that morning or that night. Yes. That I could be better with. And I want to, that's actually one thing I'd want to like pick your brain on and talk about, is like the structure of prayer, right? Because I know there is kind of like the 4 stages of that, of like being thankful, addressing what you did wrong, like asking for what you want. Like I understand that there's like those guidelines, and I think for me, I don't follow that as much. I do want to be a little bit more rigid on that, of like, hey, like, again, it's like, you could say you wanted to work out every day, right? You could 2 people could do the same workout and eat the same thing and everything, but one person has more results. 100%. Why? Because they did it with more intentionality, right? Maybe they went a little more weight on the reps that they were doing. Maybe they were more focused on their mind-muscle connection. Like, I'm doing the prayer every day, which is great as it is, because the person who's working out every day is better than the person who wasn't. Right. The person who's praying every day is a step, steps ahead of the person 100%. Who isn't. Yep. But how could I take that time, which I'm already allocating and being consistent with, and squeezing like the most out of that? Yes. So I think those 2 things are high-level like areas I want to lean into, and then I think too, I think put like being a positive influence in this way, about my religion in other people's lives, right? If there is a soul that could be impacted positively, like, that's really important to me. And then also, it's like being able to explore, like I went to Barcelona, and like the first thing we did that day was like we went to the church. Yes. And I texted you. I know. I genuinely meant that. I was like, I texted like before I went on my trip, I'm like, what churches do I need to hit? So I think that's been, and then the Baltimore trip really opened my eyes, because even outside of the religion, like the real estate side of it and the history and the story, like we were amazed looking at those buildings.
The
We're like,
architecture was unbelievable.
how did they build this back then? And first off, how long did it take? You know, we're complaining about rehabs in Chester. It's like,
We're 3 weeks
We're
over.
three- yeah,
3
what
weeks
are we
over
doing?
timeline. We're refinances are delayed. We're getting all upset. I agree.
and then you
100%.
see those churches, like this had to take years. And then the amount of effort and precision and how many, like, the difference in even like tools that they had to build it. It's like, it's mesmerizing. And you think of that and you're like, who built those places? And it was like followers of Christ. No one who wasn't religious was spending that time, that detail, that energy, having the patience to build
Yes.
that church or wherever it is. The one in Barcelona, right? Like
Yep.
that started in 1881.
Yeah.
It's going to be completed this year. Incredible. Like to think of how many different people, like that's generations of people saying, okay, I'm picking up where they left off and like I'm going to have my positive impact to make it happen. So I think that too, as I go in my travels, like definitely incorporating those things is something I am going to, be conscientious of moving forward this year.
Yep. But it's ironic that amazing church dedicated to the Holy Family is being completed this year. Started in 1881, I think you said. Where is it?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere along those
Someone
lines.
could fact check me for
Yeah,
that, but I think it's 1881.
But I think right now it's pretty timely that that's being completed because of the attack that's happening on the family right now, and that is being completed at such a monumental time when it needs to be, and that's divine timing. You know what I mean? But when you were there, it was really awesome to see. So I appreciate you sharing those pictures with me.
No, it was cool.
Well, you're absolutely crushing it. In all aspects of life, truly. I see so many amazing things for you on the horizon in regards to real estate, but in regards to faith too. You're a brother, in Christ for me. I'm so happy to be a part of your journey and for you to be a part of mine. And I'm so thankful that you came on the show today, Joe. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
It's an absolute honor. When you reached out, I was, it's a big deal for me because it's like I think of, again, myself and like where everything started a year ago, and then to be here, less than 12 months from that day.
Yeah.
Having these conversations, again, not perfect by any means, but, being able to continue to grow and at my own pace, but, without you, I wouldn't be having this conversation today. And if, truthfully, I wouldn't be where I am in my faith. I really wouldn't without you. So, you've been a huge, addition to my circle in the past 12 months in so many aspects. That's what I'm saying. I think everything stems from the religion, right? And how you carry yourself, but in so many aspects as a friend, as a, from a business perspective, from a religion perspective, like there's just so many pillars that you and I think connect on so deeply. And, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm just very, very thankful that our paths crossed and where we are today and where we're going.
I love it. Last question. If you could give advice to somebody who's looking to grow deeper in their faith, right, who's maybe just kind of coming into it, what's one piece of advice that you would give them? And then where can people find you as well?
Go to church.
Go to church. Yeah.
Go to church. Because like I said, I think prayer is something, but I think people could get lost in prayer.
Yes.
Like just wishing for things, like you could be stubborn, like, I want that car, or even just something bad happened. You're like, oh, please make sure, I'm getting sick. Please don't make me feel sick tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And then you're sick tomorrow morning. You're like, I don't believe in it. So I think you could get lost in that, and it could be very tricky, right? You could just ask for something. If it doesn't happen, then you're like, okay, off the train again for another 6 months, or giving yourself some reason to not believe, which I don't think is fruitful. I think when you get out and you go to Mass, you're putting yourself in an environment to succeed, right? Or to at least feel what maybe needs to be felt in order to then go home and be more intentional with that prayer. Maybe the first steps follow you, right? I think follow Frankie_REI on Instagram, watch what he's posting, listen to these podcasts. That's an easy way to do it. But I think, get in the game, go to church, get there, show up, find one near, receive the Holy Eucharist, go to confession before, right? I didn't do that the first time, but I know that's the right way to do it. But, do it. And what should people do? If someone's local, reach out to you and ask. If someone reached out to you and said, hey, I want to go to a daily Mass, say shoes are on, chains out, you're ready to rock.
We'd rock.
So do that. It's like, and spend that time, like reach out to you, ask to do those things. If they have questions, like, don't be afraid to reach out. I think you're an open book, and like you're doing great things, and just get out there.
Well, if they don't reach out to me, how do they reach out to you?
Personal Instagram, Joe_Welke,
Yes.
WELKE. Business Instagram,
Yep.
Joe_Renovo.
Yep. Joe Novo.
Joe Novo.
Dude, we got to coin that. We do.
So, yeah, both pages work.
Awesome. Well, Joe, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being on, brother.
Yeah.
Love you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, my man.
Amen.
Yep.